Well, guys, after months of watching people fly nightly builds of Betaflight 4.3, I finally decided to take the plunge now that it is in release candidate form. Boy, it has been a great experience. There have been some ups and downs. I found some things that are way better, still about the same, and maybe a few things that are a little worse. So let's talk about it right now on the channel. What's up, guys? It's Chad. Welcome back to the Dorky and 40RC channel. Yes, upgrading to Betaflight 4.3 has been amazing. Any quad that you had that flew great on 4.2, I guarantee will fly the same, if not better, on 4.3 with a few of a little adjustments. One thing you definitely want to think about, though, is when you're ready to take this plunge, you're definitely going to have to go through and upgrade other things that you might not have thought about, like your tracer, your Express LRS, your shark bite, things like that. And that's where things can get yourself into really big trouble. So make sure that you have a lot of time on your hands and some good weather. If not, you could be in for some shaky results. Take a look at a few of the quads here on the bench, and this is just a sample of the quads that I've been going through dealing with things. We've got, of course, things like the tiny trainer that you have to basically take apart, and if you do a tracer update, sometimes the OTA update doesn't work, so you have to rebind and reflash and do all that kind of stuff. It seems like with the latest version of Crossfire or Tracer 613, I haven't had to do that so everything is, the over-the-air upgrades seem to be a lot more stable. Multi-bind has been working pretty good, so I can bounce back and forth between the Tango 2 and my Mambo. And if you throw into that some extra new builds or swapping over components, like I moved a couple quads over to Sharkbite. I also did some upgrades, moving from the regular HD version of the Switchback to the Switchback Zero, so I could use the new Race VTX. This is an awesome build, and it will get its own video, by the way. And then, of course, taking my best, oldest, funnest frame that has been tuned on for years now, and jumping into Betaflight 4.3 with it, that was a pretty scary feeling, but I'll show you how that's turned out. By the way, the Switchback Zero has one of the very first presets that I have been using with Betaflight 4.3 that has been working out really well. We'll go over that a little bit in this video as well. One super important thing is the Betaflight Lua. Now, this is something that I really never used Lua scripts, but with everything between DJI and Sharkbite and everything else, I figured it would just be nice to have one place to tune everything in the radio. And man, the new nightly build on this is awesome. We'll go over that as well. This is going to allow you just to do any little fine tweaks for everything that you need to do right there in the field. No laptop at all, especially if you are sticking to the advanced sliders or the simple sliders for most of your tuning. So the first thing I'll do here is I'm going to put a link in the description to where you can download the latest version of the Betaflight Lua, and it's really simple to do. All you do is just download the zip file, extract it, and then you'll get like a couple files that you literally will just copy and paste right onto your SD card of whatever radio you're using, and it will completely update that, and then you will be able to do all of the little small changes in the field. And it's just going to make your life way easier. Trust me, you're going to want this. The other thing that you're going to want to do is, man, go through and read about Betaflight 4.3 and all of these tuning notes that are in there. I mean, people are going to try to make 4.3 tuning videos out there. I really feel very bad for them because there is just so much in this. And for somebody like me that has been flying these quads now for like 9-10 years, it is just amazing just how awesome the tuning is that we have on these now, and just how awesome things are flying. And I'm going to give you some examples of those. First things that I've noticed that I've been playing with a lot is going to be the RC smoothing, the auto factor right here. And they explain this a lot, and this is going to be based on things that you want, like your stick feel, your control system that you're using, how fast it's running, your rates, all kinds of things are going to play into this. So it's been really helpful being able to raise this number up or down with that Lewis script in the field and be able to make fine adjustments. I have found that for most of my liking, I have been settling on somewhere between 25 and 30. I've heard and seen way larger numbers being used, and there's still a lot more testing, I think, and clarification that has to be done on this specific number. But believe me, you're going to want to be able to fine tune that thing. The other thing which really caught on fire in Betaflight 4.2 is going to be this dynamic idle. I'm going to show you some examples on my old quad on how dynamic idle was. I had it turned off and that we were getting crazy spins and nose dips and stuff, which should not be there anymore. And once I enabled this and found a good number, boom, it was gone. And there's no hassling around with this anymore. All you have to do is just turn it on. It's going to disable your D-shot idle percentage. So that gets thrown out the window. This is going to take over and it's going to keep your motors spinning when they need to at 0 throttle to maintain attitude. It's just great. Here, let's take a look at an example of that real quick. Now, one of the other things that might either drive you crazy or freak you out is going to be looking at things like your CPU load percentage. Usually we're used to seeing these down in like the 20s and 30s, and this is an old system that's on this quad. It's an F4 Bardwell system, still flies great. Even with these limitations. Now, Betaflight 4.3, of course, is a heavy when it comes to like timing and running fast and everything else like that. But even on this old system running down at 4K, and I believe we have, and at D-Shot 300, the CPU percentage is at 43%. I'm not throwing any errors at all in RPM on the bench. So we've got bi-directional D-Shot going on, RPM filtering, the crossfade expo filtering going on there, and all that kind of stuff. And we're not getting any issues at all. This quad is just flying almost as good as it ever has. It was super cold out, so all the testing that I've been doing, it's been real hard to get a complete feel, and I probably have the sticks dumbed down a little bit more, but just having this kind of control on a freestyle quad for my kind of flying that I like to do, you know, going through gaps, flying around my yard here, everything else like that, you know, not super aggressive, but being able to kind of swerve back and forth through this gate with like nice and control is just really just fantastic. Now, if we take a look here at this old Switchback HD, old by like a month and a half, it had a lot of like wiggles and bobbles and stuff like that in 4.2, where my DJI version of it did not. Could have been stack mounting, everything like that. So comes to tell you that Betaflight 4.3 still can't correct for everything. So you're going to want to like build your quads right and iron out issues. It's not going to be the end all be all when it comes to fixing everything that we need. Now, when it comes to the new with the Switchback Zero here, we'll take a look at some video of this and just how awesome this thing flies. Now, this has the actual karate filtering special preset that all the racer guys have been working on. It's been flashed with that, and also the RC link they say that you need to set to. It sets up a few different things inside of the CLI, and this thing is flying just amazing. Way better than the Switchback HDs did, probably because it's definitely a more refined type of thing. It's basically a Switchback Pro with a little bit higher standoffs, I think. And, you know, it's got all the boards in there, the SharkBite 200 milliwatt race V2, VTX, the heads up motors. So this is like the race build. Now, I am not a racer, but I definitely appreciate how awesome this thing flies. And you can just see here from the video just how smooth everything is. I can't wait to like get it out more, and when it's a little bit warmer, be able to actually feel the quad a little bit more than I can right now because my fingers are just frozen out there. But man, I really am digging the presets that these guys have done. The tuning is so much different as far as the PIDs and everything compared to what I am doing with just basically working with the master sliders with my tuning and kind of putting my PIDs close to what they were in 4.2. Of course, doing a lot different things with filtering, a lot less filtering, a little bit more aggressive filtering. You know, the filtering that's on this is pretty weird. I've never really seen things like this, but hey, it's working, and I totally trust these guys a lot more when it comes to this than I do myself. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. I am in a great place. I think the FPV community is in a great place. Things like Sharkbite and just this new Betaflight and everything that's moving forward. Hopefully we can really gain some ground and pick back all that stuff that we seem to have lost over the past year and a half during the pandemic with the slowdown of development. It does seem like higher prices are going to remove people from the hobby or keep people from getting those builds that they really want. So that is going to be an unfortunate consequence. But luckily, I think that a lot of the stuff that we've seen so far in Betaflight 4.3, I'm encouraged about, because it does seem that even though they're more CPU intensive, the F4 gear can still handle it, at least in my case, and you know, you're going to be good. So get out there, try things out. Don't forget that Lewis grip. That thing is super important, and if you get a chance, definitely try out the Sharkbite system. You will not be disappointed, I promise. Till then, guys, thanks a lot for everything. Peace.